Friday,
It is Friday.
April, and winter came back. What the heck?
Winter came back. I know it's like 65 degrees. It's terrible.
It is.
Gonna
I'm
be,
like
and I was
inside.
looking at it, John. I'm going to be riding. I have a big ride planned on Friday, Saturday, oh, Sunday, and it's going to be 85 degrees.
Oh
So
yeah, yeah,
I think we'll survive.
yeah, yeah. I love it. Yeah, it's pretty bad. And growing up in the Northeast, and you growing up in Calgary and Canada, obviously we know how to deal with winters, but not anymore.
I don't want to deal with it anymore.
Yeah.
How to deal with it is just avoid it. What are you talking about?
No, totally. Well, we've got a indoor topic. I guess it's an indoor topic to talk about,
Could be
and
outdoor,
I
I
mostly
guess.
wanted to pick your brain on strength training for triathletes. I know you coach athletes, and I'm sure you do something. I don't know what you do with strength training, whether you say, "Hey, don't do that," or do lots of it. And so I'm curious how you approach strength training. I do some strength training, but I probably don't do enough, especially given my age. But yeah. So what's your big picture on strength training?
I'm 100% in favor of it with many caveats.
Okay.
Okay, so oh my gosh, I knew we were going to talk about this, and I had this kind of all figured out, but now I'm on the spot. So, um, okay, I think that we should all strive to be as strong as we possibly can.
Hmm.
Like I think just in life in general, right? Like there's lots of the research into longevity that says the stronger you are, basically the longer you're going to live. Like I think that's pretty clear. But then I also think like truly what is strength? Is strength the ability for me to go out and ride 300 watts for 5 minutes? Yeah, that's strong. So I kind of go back and forth on this topic a lot because there's so many levers to pull in triathlon. Okay, so we all know we have to swim, we have to bike, we have to run. Pretty pretty standard, right?
Hmm.
Okay, now I'm going to add strength training. Okay, so maybe, and if I was going to add it to someone's program, I'd say 2 days a week, 20 or 30 minutes each day, and we'll just leave it at that. But now, John, I have to also do mobility, right? So now I got another thing I got to do. Oh, and I need just to rest and recover. Oh, I need to eat right. Oh, I need to make my supplements are right. I need to do this right. It's so interesting. I was talking to one of my athletes this week about all of these things, and I'm like, what we're doing with triathlon is we're kind of playing like three-dimensional chess,
Hmm.
right? You make one move that appears to be the right thing here, and then it negatively affects something else here, or maybe it positively affects it. And so I think when we want to keep like adding things, and also not even adding things, but the comment you made where I should probably be doing more, well, that could be with all of these things. I should probably be doing more biking, more running, more swimming, more mobility work. I should probably eat better. I should probably rest more. I should probably, and we can get into these cycles of thinking negative thoughts around what we're not doing rather than looking at the positives of what we are doing. Does that make sense?
No, it does. It does. And you're right. I mean, there's a lot to handle. Like you said, a lot of levers you got to pull as you're training for a triathlon, and it's overwhelming at times. And sometimes it makes you feel guilty.
Yep.
Well, I'm going to do this, which means I can't do that.
Yeah.
And then you say, well, maybe I should be doing that instead of this, and you just go back and forth on it. It's really hard to sort of put these different things together in a very manageable way.
Yeah, honestly, it's super difficult for people. John, we're in this kind of unique world where you and we spend a lot of time with like higher level triathletes. But the average triathlete, just to get to swim twice a week, bike twice a week, run twice a week is a lot,
Yeah.
right? It's a big ask just to do that. And then you say, well, I need you or I want you to strength train twice a week and do mobility twice a week. Now I'm giving you 10 sessions.
Yeah.
And then we think about our like the more higher level people, they're doing usually 9 sessions a week, 3 swims, 3 bikes, 3 runs on
Mhm.
average. Now, once again, we're gonna add 2 mobilities and 2 strengths. Now I'm really getting up there with like a lot of sessions.
Mhm.
And man, that's hard. Like once again, fitting that into your life, man, that's really hard. So then the question comes, well, should I give up a swim, a bike, or a run? or give up a couple of them to do strength training? And I don't know the answer to that. I
Yeah.
mean, I really don't. And like, I'll tell you, I have some people that I coach that are retired,
Hmm.
and then we definitely do strength training.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Right. And they have
Because
time.
they have time, right? But if I have somebody that's working 50 or 60 hours a week, got a family, got all these other things, and then says, "Hey, I need to now add in the strength training. Should I?"
Yeah.
Because they're struggling just to get the swim bike and running.
Yeah.
So, I
Yeah.
mean, what are your thoughts around it? I mean, I know you said you're going to kind of ask me, but I kind of want to know your thoughts.
Well, some of the, let me go into the research a little bit. If
Hmm.
we start looking at the research, the category of research this fits into is concurrent training.
Yeah.
We're training both endurance and strength at the same time. And there's some really great research on this. But the challenge is just as you've been speaking to, is how do you compare endurance training, strength training, and combination of endurance training and strength training. The reason being is that the load is going to be quite different.
Yeah.
And how do you equate the training stimulus? Do you take your endurance training and just add on strength training, and now you just automatically increase the training load? Should you would it have been the same if you just had more running or biking or swimming or what have you, or likewise with strength training. So the comparison in the research world between combinations of strength, endurance, and well, I'm just drawing a blank. But strength and endurance training, it's hard work to do. What's interesting is looking at the literature, though, if you're going to do both strength training and endurance, you're sacrificing your ability to generate strength
Yep.
through a training stimulus, which is fine for us, right?
It's
You can
yeah,
still
completely fine.
benefit endurance wise, which is what we all want. It's not, you're not going to ultimately be able to bench, increase your well, you'll probably increase your 1RM, but you won't be able to increase your 1RM chest press as much if you just do 100% strength training.
Yeah.
But I think where we're going and talking about is we need some strength that's going to benefit our endurance.
Oh, and yeah, I agree completely. And once again, in the perfect world, I'd love to have 20 hours a week to
Yeah.
dedicate to triathlon and to doing all of these wonderful things. And so then I'd ask you, okay, well, what would be more bang for the buck? Two
Yeah.
mo two mobility sessions or two
Hmm.
strength sessions?
Yeah.
Nobody knows,
No,
right? There's no research on this.
they're apples and oranges. It's hard to put a crystal ball on and say this is you're going to get more benefit if you do this versus that.
And I have conversations with athletes all the time, and they ask me, well, or they don't even ask me. They tell me, "Oh, I feel so bad. I'm not doing my mobility work," or "I feel so bad. I'm not doing my strength work."
Yeah, yeah.
Right? And then I always come back with, "Don't feel bad. Like
Hmm.
those are just levers that we can pull if we have time, and and they can fit into your life." But in my opinion, I think the swimming, the biking, and the running is still the most important thing. And
Hmm.
then I put strength and mobility as like icing on the cake. That would make you better. I believe both of them would make you better. But once again, if your life is so confined that I've got 8 to 10 hours a week to train and that's all I've got,
Hmm.
I don't want to be taking away hours of the swim, bike, and run to do those other things.
No, totally. Well, what makes it confusing as well, especially when you're reading in any website or blog or getting advice from different people, is different people mean different thing when they use the term strength.
True.
And I always think, in the classes I teach, I always get students, I try to, what's the definition of strength? And everyone sort of, oh, well, we all know it, right? We know what
Yeah.
strength training is, but in reality, there can be lots of different definitions. And I think of some of the key definitions include maximum strength, as I said, like 1 RM, the most you can lift one time, and you can't lift it again. That would be maximum strength. And you have endurance strength or muscular endurance, where instead of that 1 RM, now maybe how many times can I lift 50 pounds? Is it 30 times? Is it 40 times? What have you? And that gives us more of a sense of muscular endurance strength. And then power, which I don't like mixing that term with strength, but it's done all the time. Power typically represents how fast you can generate a force, And we know power as watts on the bike and what have you. And in essence, they're all the same thing, but it's just how fast we're able to transform chemical energy to mechanical energy. And in the strength world, it's how quickly we can generate a force. And then the last one I wrote down was reactive strength, which we
Yeah.
see used a lot when we're talking about plyometrics. And that's where you hit the ground, you have a force, and then you've got to change the direction of movement and then quickly react to that landing force and generate a propulsion force. So those are some pretty common ones. But I should have even started the basic that, like, if I was just going to say, here's strength, it's the ability of a muscle to generate force. But now you got maximum, you've got endurance, you've got power or rate of force development, and then reactive strength.
Yeah. So that begs the question then, right?
What do you do?
What do you do? And so let's go into the mode of you and I are retired, okay? So we've got time. I will absolutely be doing more strength training when I
Yeah.
have time. Like
Hmm.
that is a definite for me.
Yeah.
And once like you, I do some strength training. I don't do it in, I honestly, once again, I don't feel bad about it, but I don't do it enough, mostly
Right.
because I just don't have the time.
Hmm.
But I would honestly rather spend my time right now. I'm spending a ton of time on swimming and
Hmm.
seeing becoming a better swimmer.
Yeah.
And to me, that's actually right now more important than gaining strength at
Hmm.
this point in time. So if I was going to do it, I would build a program where I would do 2 times a week,
Yeah.
about a half hour each. That's about it.
Hmm.
And I would probably just look at 4 different lifts, 2 upper body, 2 lower body, one pull, one push of the legs, one pull, one push of the arms, and call it good.
Mm. I like that.
'Cause I think that what ends up happening is people really get into the weeds on what's the best lifts.
Hmm.
What's
Yeah.
once again like bro science, YouTubers. Oh, this is the 4 best exercises for running, the 4 best exercises for swimming. In reality, our body doesn't really work like that, right? It's like we just can do bigger, we call these compound movements, right? Multiple joint movements, and you're going to get stronger.
Hmm. No,
And
I love that.
you can do it relatively quickly.
Yeah, well, and you're spot on. And there's some really good research on that minimum effective dose. It's not that much for strength training. And I love your approach of 2 days per week. I love it because that's what I do.
Yeah. And it's doable. Like my issue is like I have some strength training stuff here, but once again, it adds to the complexity if you have to go to a gym as well.
Right, right. No, that's right. And especially if you're only going to go do a 30-minute workout, you got to get everything, get all set up, get over to the gym and what have you. And so having some capacity at home to do something, but there's also functional ways to get strength training. Take the stairs.
Take the stairs, or something very easy, I think, is, and I was doing this for a while. I actually probably need to get back at it. Whenever I was at the pool, I was doing push-ups.
Mm, yeah,
Part of
yeah.
my warm-up, I was doing push-ups.
Hmm.
Well, I could do that anywhere, right? So I'm at the pool on the deck as I'm warming my shoulders up, do push-ups, boom, and go into the water.
Hmm.
Functional, you
Yeah.
know, the other thing the research is kind of showing more current research is saying that the load doesn't matter nearly as much as we think either. That
Mm.
there was a hypothesis for a long time that, oh, you got to lift heavy or well, you got to lift a lot or whatever the case may be. But really, as long as you're taking yourself out of a position of comfort and changing, I hate to say the term because we use it all the time, but the homeostasis of the system, you still can make gains.
Yeah.
And, so if you can do, I don't know, 20 push-ups and then the next time you do 21 and then 23,
Hmm.
aggressively loading either way rather than, maximally lifting 4 or 5 reps, which I think is a little bit more difficult for people to wrap their heads around.
No, I love that. And part of that is the neural learning that happens when you're doing strength training, because you are doing like a bicep curl. Not only are you training how to turn the bicep on, you're training how to turn the other muscle on the other side of the joint, how to turn that off, or coordination, if you will. And so a lot of times when someone starts a strength training program, they see these big jumps in what they can do strength wise. It's not necessarily a physiological change, it's a neurological change. So it's an interesting. All right. So I want you to evaluate a little bit about what I do.
Okay.
Interested in how far off I am.
Okay.
So,
Let's go through it.
I do a 20-minute sort of circuit routine. Everything I do is 30 reps, and some of the key exercises I do, I'll do some leg presses
Hmm.
bilaterally, but then single leg as well. And I do the same thing with knee extension, so quadriceps, and knee flexion, so hamstrings, where I do bilaterally, and then I do single leg. Obviously, I drop the weight quite a bit when I do the single leg on all those.
You want me to evaluate those
Yeah, yeah,
and tell you where you're wrong?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
First of all, I love the single leg approach.
Hmm.
But if once again, if you're time crunched, a double leg will work, right? Like I think a single leg is more functional, but it takes twice as much time.
Mm.
So what I do with my single leg when I do leg press is I'll do my right, then I'll do my left, then I'll do my right again. So my
Yeah,
right, I'm resting the other side, so kind of maybe more bang for my buck.
yeah.
As far as the knee extension and knee flexion, I once again, I think these are great exercises. They're just maybe not the best bang for your buck because you're really just isolating one muscle
Hmm.
or one muscle group, right? So your quadriceps or your hamstrings.
Right.
So could you come up with a more functional exercise that would not only just target one muscle group?
Got it.
So I would be thinking of like, I don't know, like a split squat,
Mm.
or like a Romanian deadlift or
Hmm.
squat or something that was more functional.
Got it. Okay, I like that. All right, let me look into that and see what I can.
But like I said, once again, if you only have access to like a few machines and those are the machines you have access to, I think there's nothing wrong.
No,
Like it's not wrong. I think once again, time crunched athlete, we want to get the most bang for our buck.
right. Okay, so then another set of exercises I do are hip AB and adduction, so leg out and back, and I use a standing machine. It's sort of like doing, I don't know, you look like a dancer at a
A
bar.
four-way hip machine.
Yeah, 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 and I do single leg again, of both the hip AB and adduction on both sides.
I don't like those either.
You don't like them? Okay. This
Well,
is
okay,
excellent.
but
Okay.
here's why. Here's why. Like I know I'm wrong. If once again, if I had that machine at my house, I'd probably do it.
Yeah.
I think that once again, because your foot's not on the ground,
Yeah.
might not be as functional as we would.
Oh,
So I would rather do something with my feet on, maybe more on the ground.
yeah.
And I guess your plant leg is on the ground still. So you have one leg
Yeah.
on the ground. So you're still driving off that leg. I really, for those exercises, I love a cable where I
Mm.
just put a cable around my ankle and then just like do a step back and
Oh, yeah.
right. And so it's kind of almost like a speed skating motion
Yeah.
or skating motion. And you
Yeah.
can do both, you can do adduction, and if you change the other side, you can do abduction, so bringing it in or bringing it out. I would think I'd prefer those. But I love the fact you're using this plane. We're talking about the frontal plane because we don't get much work in the frontal plane,
Hmm.
and I think it's super critical. So I love the fact you're doing that, but I think if it were me, I'd do a cable. Um,
I
and
like that.
John, do you have? I got it right here. You have like one of these ankle straps,
Yep.
right? So you get a little ankle strap like this. Mine's got lots of dog hair on it, but and then you just hook that to your machine and boop, you
Yeah.
can use
Okay.
it around your ankle. Works really well.
Okay. I'll check that out over there. And
I feel bad. I'm like poo-pooing all your ideas.
no, but what's interesting is I thought about this when using that machine specifically is I really wasn't training the leg moving. I was training
The
the
ground
foot
leg.
that's on the ground.
Yeah.
And so it's funny how I was thinking about that, and I'm like, this is better for, and I got to figure out which angle to put the toes, which angle to point the foot, and I try to pay attention to that because it's easy to cheat and really like turn the foot all the way outwards,
It
and
is.
and then do the exercise versus keeping that foot straight. And I'm thinking like running, and
Yeah.
trying to simulate that. So
Okay. How about your upper body?
hydraulic versus machines, and or I guess I'll throw in free weights, but I use uh, I'll use whatever's available. I hate standing around.
Yeah,
Okay,
me too. If
and
I'm at the gym, I'm like, well, what else could I use to do the same thing?
if the machine that usually I use the cable machine. But if people are sitting there doing their phone work, and I don't even bother them. I don't say, hey, come on, can you switch out? I just go right to the hydraulic because nobody uses the hydraulic stuff.
Yeah, and the hydraulic stuff works. The only, John, I think that the hydraulic stuff, correct me if I'm wrong, there's no eccentric component to it.
That's correct. Yeah.
So now if you're thinking about swimming and being stronger for swimming, there's really no eccentric component to your swimming anyways. Okay. So what exercises are you doing with these?
I'll do whatever I do on the cables over on the hydraulic, but the key with the when I use the hydraulic is I try to move as fast as possible.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Try to get as most bang for my buck using that.
Yeah. So the only thing I would say with the upper body is once again, I was saying like one pull, one push.
Hmm.
So I would do like with your cables, what do I pull in like a row,
Yeah.
right? And then I would do a push out like a bench press.
Yeah.
And then the next day I'd come in and I might do a high row or like a lat pull down, and then more of like a military press, like straight overhead. So
Hmm.
I'm very much about like just very, once again, simple pushing, simple pulling with different angles of how high I'm getting my shoulders, basically.
Got it.
I think you can get a tremendous amount out of that. The one thing I'll tell you that when I see people doing these exercises in the upper body is you have to think about your scapula, so your shoulder blade.
Hmm.
And I see people not really moving their shoulder blades through the full range. So I always am very aware of my shoulder blades and making sure my shoulder blades are moving,
Mm.
right? And my exercise is not done until the shoulder blades are at the end of their ranges of motion.
Okay.
And if I can't make, and I can't, if I can't do that, I've got too much weight maybe.
Hmm.
I lower it because when we swim, the movement of your shoulder blade is so critical.
Mm.
And having full motion in your shoulder blade is really critical. And so, in athletic training, we deal with this all the time with injured shoulders, and it's called scapular dyskinesis. Well, basically, the scapula doesn't move properly, but I think we can train it to move well if we're weight training and actually thinking of the scapula.
Mm. I love it. Well, okay. So one exercise I try not to skip is the military press.
I love this.
And it's partly because of what you just talked about, but boy, that's an exercise that we get really weak in as we get older. Yeah. So
Lifting stuff over your head.
yeah. All right. So you like the military press?
Yeah, and I'll even say if you've got time with any of these, single arm would be way better as well.
Mm. I do double, so I'll look at single. Yeah.
And why? Because I think that once again, to swimming, core stabilization is so important as we swim. So as
Hmm.
you lift up with one arm, the core's got to hold you and balance you. And it's very similar, like when you're doing like a military press or an overhead press with one arm, or even a pull down with one arm, you'll feel it in the ipsilateral, the other side, the core on the other side, stabilizing you. I think it's really, really functional.
Okay.
So for me at the gym, if I'm doing a pull down in particular, I've got the machine and I've got one arm pull down and I pull the other one down. And I
Yeah.
kind of think of it almost like a swim. And like you were saying, the coordination of turning one muscle on, one muscle off might be better.
Yeah.
But once again, if I'm limited in time, two hands, let's go, like get it done and
Mm.
move on to the next exercise. Um, yeah.
Okay. So then I usually top off everything, and I work this in usually in the middle of the routine. I do incline crunches.
Uh-huh.
And I'll include some rotational, like every 10 crunches, then I'll add a rotation. I go from that to back extension
Love it.
board, and then I'll go do a suspended leg raise. So I'm sitting like this, and I'm just bringing my knees
Oh, the
up.
captain's chair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay. There you go.
It's
Yes.
funny. I just taught about this in school just yesterday in class. I was challenging the students to come up with a gym exercise that was for hip flexion.
Mm.
And they came up with all sorts of wrong answers, which was fine. So this is a whole nother topic, but why are there no exercises really for hip flexion
Yeah. So why are there no,
other than the one you just showed me?
why is there, that's a good question. Other
Right?
than
There's about
that,
100 different things for hip extension.
yeah, there's a total hip machine, but outside of that, I'm trying to think of the other machines are for hip flexion. That's interesting. No, I hadn't thought about that.
I have.
Yeah.
I could be completely off base, but so in my reading and understanding of this, and once again, this is some reading from a while ago, and there might be some new information, is that the hip flexors, when we run in particular, are way more important as far as the elasticity of them.
Mm,
So
hmm.
you load them as your foot comes back or your knee comes back, and you get stored elastic energy, then that allows the leg to swing forward.
Yeah.
And the actual activation of the hip flexor muscles is not really that important for running.
Hmm.
It's more about the elasticity of it. So
Mm,
thinking about training that elasticity of it, it's things like lunges where you're actually going down and you're actually creating that elasticity.
yeah.
So I mean I don't know.
Cool.
And then cycling's, we shouldn't be really using our hip flexors much for cycling. Hopefully we're turning them off
Hmm.
more
Hmm.
than turning them on. So I mean, it's just really interesting. It's really interesting stuff. But
Well, that's a good question for the students to come up with one. Then that's excellent.
yeah,
Okay, so then timing of when I do strength training, I typically do it after all my other stuff. If I'm swimming, biking, and running, I'll do it at the end. Or depending on the day of the week, I like to finish with a swim and then just hit the shower. So I'll do strength training right before swimming. Where do you
I tell
fit?
people if you can. So for once again, it's usually bang for the buck because a lot of people they have a pool at their gym.
Hmm. Yeah.
So I say, hey, swim first, then do the strength training. And because I don't ever want people to swim fatigued,
Hmm. Hmm.
just because it's such a technically hard thing to do to swim properly, to get your catch proper, to get
Sure.
all the
Hmm.
pieces properly. And if you're really fatigued,
Yeah.
it's just you're not gonna you could do the work, but you may not be swimming technically very good. Um,
That's
then
a great point. And now when I do it before the swim, it's on the swim day where I use fins. And
oh, perfect, yeah.
I'm just being super easy on my swim because you were spot on. It's hard to swim after running or after doing strength training. The old, splash and dash races where you swim, run, swim. That second swim is just it's a nightmare.
So there's a race tomorrow at UNLV. It's the, the
Oh, reverse.
it's a reverse triathlon, and
Yeah.
the triathlon club students were trying to get me to sign up, and I was heck no.
Ah,
The last thing I want to do after a 5K run and a 20K bike ride is go swim.
yeah, yeah,
I
right.
know how bad that feels.
It's
It's
hard.
horrible.
It's hard. It's I remember jumping in the pool after that run, and oh my goodness, just trying to swim 500 yards was
Just after running,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
And your arms are so fatigued, and I mean you're taking unless you're an excellent swimmer and your form is just completely dialed
yeah,
in.
yeah.
Yeah, and I can't even imagine doing like a 3,000 yard set.
No, no.
But I would even contend the same like with lower body heavy strength training and running right after.
Hmm.
Running fatigued, yes, I know we all do it, but
Hmm.
running with extra fatigue may actually be negative and you may actually lead to injury. So same thing like with running, I would rather you strength train afterwards
Yeah. Okay.
because you can still get to the point of fatigue when you're strength training and that's where we see the good signaling for protein synthesis is based off of when
Mm.
you fatigue. So, but I think a lot less chance of injuring yourself weight training than actually going for a run.
Mm. Good point.
Yeah.
Well, this has been great. I've got some good things to work on.
Good tips today. Uh,
Yeah.
the biggest tip is to retire and
Yeah.
right. Especially honestly in your age group, John, like you're racing people, a lot of people that are retired.
Oh, I know. I know.
And I think they should have two divisions now in these races. Okay, full-time job division, retired division.
I like that.
Because
Yeah.
it's like it's two different worlds out there.
Yeah. It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough. Any other last tips for strength training to leave people with?
My last, honestly, big tip is don't beat yourself up if you're not doing it.
Hmm.
There's lots of triathletes out there that don't strength train and they're doing well.
Hmm.
Like, and it's the same with don't beat yourself up if you miss a swim session. Don't beat
Yeah.
yourself up if you miss a run session. Like, and I think we get so caught up in triathlon of what we should be doing all the time.
Hmm.
And man, all those negative emotions and negative self-talk can actually be dangerous, I think, for people. And you can spiral into some maybe some not healthy places. So yeah, I think that that's number one. And then number two, and I think we were already kind of alluding to this when we're doing strength training, the idea is to just provide a different stimulus.
Hmm. Hmm.
And so don't get, once again, don't get caught up into the idiosyncrasies of we have to do this and we have to do that. Just lift heavy stuff.
Yeah.
I got a tire in my garage. If I lift it over my head 10 times, it's still heavy, it's still
Yeah.
hard. Like not a
Mm.
bike tire, John, not a bike tire, an
Yeah,
actual.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I got some 700C tires and I just lift them up.
There
It's
you go.
all day long. But
Mm.
I think we want to be so prescriptive with everything we do in triathlon, and it doesn't have to always be so prescriptive.
That's true. I love it. Great tips, great
Thanks.
feedback. This is awesome.
All right. Hey, have a great weekend, and we'll see you next week.
All right, sounds good. Talk soon.